start to Hi everyone and welcome to the first ever episode of Bizcast, where we talk management and communication. We are gonna stream episodes all autumn, and this is our project for Metropolia Business School and our course Managerial Communication. I'm Niklas Reinhardt. I'm 22 years old and second year IPL student. I'm here with
Hi, I'm Edgar. I'm 22 years old as well, and this is our group that we're going to talk about.
Are you excited?
Overwhelmed with excitement.
And
I feel the joy.
my other friend here.
I'm Aku. I'm from EBA, from Metropolia Business School. I'm super excited to be here. This is probably the most exciting thing that has happened in this school ever. So
Yeah.
be ready.
And we are gonna have multiple different topics, all related to management and communication, and we are probably even gonna have guests here
Hopefully.
during the autumn. But our first topic ever is gonna be an article written by Joe Buck, which you will find in the description
Below.
below.
Yeah. Or
And-
somewhere on the screen.
Yeah, so shortly the article is about Joe Buck writing that all the mistakes within the corporation or the company is a managerial mistake, which means that even the employer's mistakes are actually originating from the managerial mistakes made. And give us some opinions on this, Edgar.
I mean, first of all, after reading the article, it wasn't really well written. So, I mean, first of
But
all,
it's interesting.
yeah,
The
it is
opinion.
interesting. Yeah, Joe Buck himself is a manager, so I guess he has some experience talking about this, and his opinion like holds some merit to it. But I really disagree because it's really impossible to predict the human errors that the employers might or the employees might make, and you can really foresee that when you hire them, because they can like have a really strong game and a strong muscle when they come up to the interview or burp up their CV, and yeah, pretty much it. Like, the smaller companies, they can't really invest much time into employing the very right or looking for the very perfect people, so there are going to be mistakes, and I think it's going to be more on the individuals than on the management.
Yes. I agree with you because I think the text is quite, provocative.
Yeah.
And actually, if we want the honest, opinion of me, I think there's it's in the middle of the the truth.
Yeah.
Because after all, companies, they are not like kindergartens, because we are all adults usually when we work. So we are all, we know how to work properly, and because sometimes some employees they might, just sabotage the work. They don't,
Yeah, there are some like expectations
Yeah.
that have to be met.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty much on the same page here with Joe Buck, because like you said, you can't foresee what an employer is going to be like, but I think an experienced manager has the ability to see, even though the employer might seem like very, very helpful for the company, an experienced recruiter or a manager can easily see that that's not going to be the case in the end, and so he will go another way to someone he feels he's more comfortable with. I think, but that's only something you get, and as Joe Buck says it, nobody's perfect, but that's something you get with experience during like multiple years, that you won't make the same managerial mistakes that you made in the first years, but there's always going to be mistakes, but they start from the management, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good point of view to look at if you're part of the management, that you can look at the mistakes made by employees and see improvement in yourself if you're an employee and you think that every single mistake that you made is a managerial fault, you're not going to improve yourself, and like the same mistakes are just going to continue until you get fired, because you're just going to sort of put the blame on someone else.
But of course employers take responsibility for their mistakes unless management man tells them that it's all managerial fault. Of course, I don't think they are telling that to the employers. So the employers take the responsibilities from the mistakes, but managers should also take the responsibility for their mistakes, because in the end it's probably something that has started from the management by giving wrong instruction, bad communication or something else. So I think both parties should take responsibility, but management should always take responsibility, even though if the mistake is by a normal salesman.
But Niklas, how can you know that some people is going to be a bad worker?
I think it's.
What are the signs? If there's like a job interview, don't you expect that everyone is going to be motivated and?
Yeah, but it's not always the case, and I think you only learn that with experience.
But that means that you have to make bad decisions in order to become a good.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So it's pretty much experience, which is the factor also here. But tell me, guys, do you have some personal experience about this issue, that mistakes from management or employers, and how have they been affected?
I guess I have one example. I mean, I work in a company where there's a very clear structure. We have a very clear, one manager who has been working in the company for a number of years.
Yeah.
Or
Multiple years.
Multiple years. But either way, he has done every single task essentially in the company. So whenever you are faced with a problem, and all of us work on our own, away from the headquarters, we run around in Helsinki city essentially. So whenever we need something, we call him or her, and he or she gives us very clear instructions on what to do. And so one time, whenever we start a new job or a new task, you are given very strict instructions, or very specific ones that you need to do. And so essentially I started working at one store, and I wasn't told that I need to close it when I leave, the thing is why I didn't ask is because on the previous day someone else came in, a few minutes before my shift ended, to close the store up. So I imagine the same scenario would be on that day as well, that someone else would come over and essentially free me from my post, and I could go home. But that didn't happen, so I just left, and the store was open the entire day.
The entire night. Yeah. Did you feel responsibility for the mistake you had made, or do you think it's the manager's responsibility, this mistake which had happened?
I think it was my mistake, because the previous day I thought about calling the manager and asking if I need to close the shop up. And a few minutes before I actually called him, the other worker came in and closed the doors. So I just assumed that it would happen again, and even though I had an inkling to call the manager, I just didn't. So it's ignorance on my part, or negligence.
Do you think the manager could maybe feel also responsible for the mistake in a way that he hadn't maybe encouraged you enough to call, even though there's the slightest doubts of what you are going to do?
No. Calling them is very encouraged, but I just didn't feel like there was a need to, because I thought it was the same as yesterday. Yeah. But what they could have done better is, I told them that it was my first shift there, that I could have be given very specific stuff.
But somewhere in between all this, there has happened a mistake.
Yeah.
There was maybe more research into where it happened, and next time it will go better, right?
Yeah, maybe.
But don't you think that the box text puts you a little bit small, like that you don't become the person that who's an individual who can make his own or her decisions.
Yeah.
Is that like a very bad way of thinking? Like, it's not my fault, let's blame like our cameraman Shane here.
Yeah.
Or her.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if we look bad on camera, like it's your fault. Then.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't really.
Yeah, true. This is a very interesting thing to talk about, but it depends a lot on the thing happening. That's what I think, at least. But Buck thinks everything is management's fault. So.
Yeah.
But that's his opinion, and we have our opinions on this. Do you have a real life example?
No, I don't actually have.
Okay.
Do you?
Yeah, I actually had like I worked in this really big corporation, and they then hired or within the corporation promoted another worker to a management position, and then the new manager's first task was to hire new workers, and they gave her permission to it, even though she was the first timer, and it ended up that there was a really bad hiring, which a new employer, which then intoxicated the atmosphere in the company and was not that effective. Worker could have been a lot better. So I guess this one is the.
Was she motivated to start?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very difficult
Yeah.
to first.
But maybe someone more experienced could have noticed
Perhaps.
where the problem was. So then bug would in this case mean that the problem is the corporation which promoted her,
Yeah.
or not promoted her but gave her permission to enlist her own workers.
I guess so, but that's like blaming something, a bigger entity that's
Yeah.
somewhere behind there is very,
True.
it's very
True.
weird. It doesn't really get anywhere.
But
Do you think that we should rather think that there are some jobs where we can think that it's the
Yeah.
manager's fault, and some jobs that you are like fully responsible for yourself?
Yeah, but I think it depends a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe the bank is talking about like this way is more straightforward from up to down.
Yeah.
But now currently there's so many jobs where like you give even more, all the time it's more responsibility for them.
But did
The
Buck
non-management
actually
part.
did Buck actually have like some evidence that this is the case?
No, he just
Yeah.
He said it from his own experience
Yeah.
and books.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
essentially he only had like a sentence from his mentor,
Yeah.
and he has taken it to heart, and so he's writing an article about
Yeah.
it.
Okay, but that's your opinion. We all have opinions, and we encourage our listeners to come in with their opinion. The
Yeah.
comment fields are open.
Should-
Come in and join the conversation.
should
Should
that
you?
be like the angel slogan, like, think for yourself.
Yeah. You can. It's open for debate.
Yeah.
We are not making judgments here. We are debating stuff, all things management and communication. And that's it for this time, I guess. Our first episode in the books. And please follow us. We are streaming all autumn guests and different subjects. Next time we're gonna have a different subject, not revealing it yet.
Yeah.
Or did we have a subject?
Yeah, we do have.
Yeah.
We have multiple subjects
Yeah.
planned, and you're going to find out next week. Tune in next week
Yeah.
to find out what's going to happen on the next episode of Bizcast.
Yeah, exactly.
And remember to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe.
Yeah.
And like.
Subscribe and like.
Yeah.
Thank you.